Adam, let's talk about the new Mac Studio computer. It's all the rage these days. All the kids are talking about it. Here it is. I'm pulling up your screen.
Yeah.
Power Station. So let's talk about who might want to use this if you are a worship ministry or a church. So from my understanding, we have two different versions of this computer that were released. We have one with a Max chip in it, M1 Max chip, and one with a M1 Ultra chip in it. And this computer, it kind of looks like it's like 3 Mac Minis stacked on top of one another with much more I/O, many more Thunderbolt ports going on there, SD card slot. I think there might even be a fan in there. Yeah, because it's got like a little cooling grate there. USB ports. I know there's a couple on the front as well. How many Thunderbolt ports are there? There's 4 on the back.
So there's 2 on the, well, it depends on if you get the Studio or if you get the M1 or the M1 Ultra, I think. But these 2 on the front are USB-C, or I think on the Ultra, they're Thunderbolt 4. Then on the back, four. So 6 total. And then if we're talking about ports, 10 gigabit Ethernet and HDMI. So, I mean, not that different than the current Mac Mini, other than, more Thunderbolt ports.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this computer. Usually I thought going into this event, it was going to be more of a newer just Mac Pro. We'd see an update to the Tower Mac Pro. What's cool is actually I think we're still yet to see that happen. Even though this Mac Studio, the Ultra version, I think it pretty much just outperforms the Mac Pro. I feel bad for anybody who bought a Tower Mac Pro, because now that's like a $10,000 piece of junk. Because I don't know, from my understanding, maybe I'm missing something, but if you spec'd out the Ultra, and I think you can spec it out to be like $8 or $9 grand, you're getting the M1 performance and all the fancy stuff there. Who knows? Probably people might still need Intel processing, because as we know, there's lots of apps that still are not quite yet updated or optimized for M1. But man, this is an awesome computer. And I really think this is an exciting opportunity for a lot of churches, especially who are looking to make some upgrades to their computer workstations for their ministry, whether that's tech booth for presentation, for lighting. Maybe you could even get a tracks rig, because what I really like what you're getting out of, for the $2 grand is you're getting some incredible performance and a plenty sufficient input outputs for basically Thunderbolt, right? Thunderbolt can do video outputs or inputs. It can do audio. It can do all the things, all the data we need to go in and out of these computers. So I'm really excited about this. And I do think even the base model Studio, I think that's $1,999, right? Here, you go ahead and spec that out for us. So 32 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, and all the things. So
see this,
Thunderbolt
2 USB-C ports, but then on the Ultra, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the front.
Oh, okay.
So that's the difference with the ports on the front.
Yep. So okay, so here's one of the advantages of this is that it's going to give you, especially if this is your presentation computer, you may not need or find any need to actually get an expansion chassis with like a DeckLink Duo and all that stuff. In me, I still feel like there's a pretty good place for that within a more, if you want to be in a little bit more pro level production, because I'm, for the most part, you still want to be able to run your video output like over SDI to a hub or a switcher or wherever it's going to go. So I feel like there's more reliability just using something like a DeckLink Duo. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, like, because you could with Thunderbolt ports use a dongle in HDMI to wherever you're going, but if you use a dongle, I'm not aware of any dongles to SDI, like if you're trying to make a long run.
I don't think, not that I know of. because we've always used those Thunderbolt to SDI adapters. I'm just even doing a Google search here. I don't think that it exists.
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, I think like I'm trying to think through. I think the question is, do you get one of these Mac Studios that has more power, it's got more connectivity, versus do you get one or two or three Mac Minis, where again you're kind of distributing the roles of different applications over different workstations. I think I still lean towards that because functionally the way a tech booth works, and I kind of like functionally the idea of having like less apps on one computer. I'd like just distributing them in case if the computer fails, not all of your apps fail at the same time. But maybe I'm not thinking right about that. I'd love to hear people's thoughts in the comments. Would you? Because you could. What's a Mac Mini right now? Base model Mac Mini is 600 or
800. I think.
Oh, is it 800?
I think 700 or 800. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and pull that up just to make sure we're right. I know inflation's been crazy. Record number inflation released today.
From 700.
700. Okay. Almost 3 Mac Minis for the price of like 1 Mac Studio, right? 7 times 3 is 2100. So yeah, I mean, again, it's like maybe there's a computer you have that runs a more demanding application, but it's a bit like, to me, I feel like the most demanding application we're running on Sunday morning is probably ProPresenter, and it's outputting like 6 different screens, the 1080p, right? We're not outputting like 8K displays. I can't remember how much the new studios can do on their outputting, like how many different displays, but it was insane, I think, if I remember correctly. So that's where, that's where I'm like, for most people, I still think the studio is probably going to be a little bit overkill, right? So I think if you're speccing out, in my opinion, if you're speccing out computers for your tech booth, instead of like, getting 3, Mac Studios, like I would maybe get one of them so you have a more powerful thing for like the more intensive applications, and then you could still use Mac Mini for some other things that are not super critical. Or not super intensive on a processor. And then I think these will be great, though, to have a workstation where it's like, okay, Sunday morning in my tech booth, I want this computer to run presentation software. And then also during the week, I want to be able to throw together some graphics, like motion graphics for, announcement videos or sermon bumper videos we make, or whatever social media content that we do.
If you're editing and rendering video, and maybe it does like way outperform.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
Yeah, one thing I still haven't figured out, like with the displays, how would this be helpful for ProPresenter? Like thinking through, okay, you can do all of your displays out of it, but then you're still converting it to, SDI to get to your different locations. So
one thing I know I've experienced before, when back in the days when we would just usually run video outputs out of a Thunderbolt to a dongle to a cable, is like the reliability issue of ProPresenter would kind of like lose the display detection, and you'd have to like unplug the dongle, plug it back in, spin around 3 times, pray to the gods of the dongles, and hope that the connection, works, right? Like it was like so frustrating to like just get it to work right, or just randomly disconnect. And that's where I feel like a Decklink Duo utilizes the power of Thunderbolt properly, and like it converts that to SDI in a way that's reliable. And then every time you unplug and plug that thing from the computer, well, we don't have to in a permanent setup at South Fellowship, but even in a portable setup, like it more reliably detected those screens and like where all the outputs needed to go. So
and price wise too, I mean, a Decklink Duos, I mean, I know that they're not readily available. I don't even know how. I guess Apple makes their own chips, and that's why they're able to sell these computers, is because they've built the chips themselves. But yeah, a Decklink Duo is $500, and the enclosure's $250, so that's $750, plus a $700 Mac Mini, so that's $1,450. And this base model for this one is still what, it was $3,000,
$2,000, I thought, for the
$2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's not including any conversions. So you're still saving money by getting a Mac Mini with the Decklink Duo and an enclosure for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and remember, like, the enclosures can seem expensive, but what's nice is you could get I think it's like $100 to get like a 4-port USB thing to put in there. So like we have the Sonnet Echo Express 3, which has a Decklink Duo, 4 USB ports, and maybe a network port or something like that in there. So it's like that also solves some of the other connectivity issues of the Mac Mini. So I personally would still lean towards that. And I would go towards, if I'm at a place where like I'm going to be editing and rendering videos all day long, then yeah, I would definitely consider the studio. Like that's who it's perfect for that, right? Like I'm not
a studio.
I don't do that. I don't do very intensive editing these days. It's funny. It's just like I feel like the bigger
we should buy a chipper one.
Yeah, but the funny thing is like we're not doing insane multicam productions for Churchfront, right? Like in the Mac Mini handles it fine, and it exports these videos fine too. So it's just funny. I feel like back in the day, maybe Jake 5 years ago when Churchfront was getting started, I was like I thought I needed the best camera gear in the world to build a YouTube channel. I was like, oh, I need to buy like an $8,000 spec'd out Mac Studio. That's what me 5 years ago would have said. But now, you know me, I laugh about it all the time, how little money we spend on Macs in our business, where it's just a few years ago, I was like, oh man, I need to get a $10,000 Mac Pro tower, but now the M1 computers do just fine. So, but
yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of a situation where it's like we're struggling with this, like at South Fellowship with a certain computer, and it needs to be a Mac Studio. Mm-hmm. Like even our 2010 MacBook Pro that just got sent to the Apple Store and fixed up. That one's having a couple of issues here and there, but it doesn't need to be a Mac Studio whenever we replace that. So
because it's running ATEM control software and it's running screen share software, right? And then I think I'd be more enticed to get the Mac Studio for like a broadcast mix station. If you're running a lot of plugins and you really just want to have like you want your DAW, whether you're doing Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, to like not be working that hard to like handle 32, 48 channels of audio coming in and out being processed in real time. That's where I think. But it's funny because our base model Mac Mini we would have doing it, like it's never failed in the middle of a service on us, at least not that I've known lately, unless if you've seen it fail on us. In the service.
No, I mean, last week someone bumped the cables in the back, and that pushed it out, but that wasn't an actual CPU thing.
Yep.
So, cool. Yeah.
Well, guys, we want to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let us know if you think this computer is going to be a good fit for your ministry. Why so? What are you looking at there? Oh,
I'm more excited about the black trackpad. That's honestly the most exciting thing about this webpage to me.
Yeah. What are the exciting things about it? Is it just because it's black? Is it new?
You got Touch
ID, but there's and then the keyboard has Touch ID now. What is it, like $500 for this setup?
Who knows? I don't know how much the accessories are. I just have I really love these MX keys things that we use.
Yeah.
And my MX keys setup is black, so I'm like, oh, black trackpad. But yeah. I'll look up the accessories.
Yeah, I think I just keep coming back to this computer. Let's say like you're recording. We'll be convening about this. Is again, it's like I don't know if it's worth the extra money for it, but the processing power. Let's say you're recording your sermon or your final program feed onto an SD card. It's like at the end of the service, pull it out of a hyperdeck, put it into the SD card on that computer, like put in Final Cut, do whatever. If you have to trim something or whatever, upload it, boom, or export, upload it, probably done very quickly. That's some of the advantages too I could see for it. But then they also have the new monitor. You definitely don't need $1,500 monitor for a production machine. But if you're doing a lot of creative, like video editing, photo editing, then that could come in handy. So how much are these things?
So this trackpad's $150.
Okay. For what? I mean, that's what they were for the older version.
Yeah. I don't know. What do they call the monitor?
Studio monitor? I can't even keep track. Wasn't it on studio display?
Studio display.
$1,500, right?
Yeah, 16.
16. Or
and then the
$325 for 12 months.
For this guy, 1,300.
Sold out.
Which, yeah, but specs are pretty similar. It's just that this one comes in the enclosure.
You can get the nano texture glass and all that stuff too.
Yeah, but this one is as far as brightness and resolution, I feel like this one is pretty similar.
Yeah.
But yep, do not need this to run ProPresenter.
Nope.
That is, I will say it. That's not a good use of money.
I think it's great though, because I think it's better. We will see less churches wasting money on overpriced Mac Pro towers until of course they come out with a M1 version of that, and it's just like, this thing can lead worship for you, until it has AI in it that can mix sound for you. Why are you spending $10,000 on a computer workstation? So, guys, let us know your thoughts below. That's enough for this video. See you next time.